This is a Story Track podcast.
Hi, folks. Welcome to another episode of Building Stories. I'm your host, Steve Harris. Today is my interview with Alice Benner. She does such amazing work. She is the principal of Bamboo Equity. She is a principal of Atori Group. She's also a principal of Oakline Studio. And finally, she's a principal at McLean Construction. I can't wait to dive in and talk to her about all of this and how she gets this all done. I hope you enjoy the interview. Thank you for being a part of our podcast here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
So I just did the introductions for our viewers and for the listeners, but I want to make sure I didn't miss something. Do you want to kind of walk us through all of what you've got going on right now? Because you have a lot going on.
Yes, absolutely. So I own 5 businesses. They are all connected to commercial real estate in some fashion. So my primary role is managing director of Bamboo Equity Partners, which is our private equity sleeve of business. I also have the principals of Intellica Commercial Real Estate, which is brokerage and property management, Oakline Studio, which is architecture and design, McLean Construction, which is our general contractor, and then our Atori Group, which is our shared services folks. All of those people interact with me in some fashion. I hope I oversee those business lines. So very busy, but I love it. I mean, absolutely love it.
Awesome. And all of these are here in the United States. And am I correct that you kind of like to keep close to where you can fly and check in on them all?
Yes. So our headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri. We have our second headquarters in Charlotte. And we like to keep everything kind of based out of those 2 main offices. So we do have an office in Tampa. We own 2 businesses in Denver, but we pretty much focused on the Midwest and Southeast. A lot of our projects are heavy value add or ground up. So being able to have boots on the ground, to be able to problem solve, check status of things, and just overall be available is really important to us. So we try to stay within, call it 4 hours of one of our headquarters.
Nice. That seems smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's come in handy.
Yeah. So how did you get into all of this? What was your start? Did you always dream of doing this?
So the answer is yes. I caught the real estate bug very, very early. And when I say that, I mean middle school. So I got a work permit when I was in middle school so that I could go help at this local commercial real estate firm. They had a ton of apartments and needed somebody to basically help with move in and move outs. Go and tour the properties, see if they needed their security deposit back or if there was damage and we needed to keep it, and get repairs scheduled, turn on and off utilities, which is not fun. And just overall, caught that real estate bug super early.
Did you say you did this in middle school?
Yeah.
And then, so what were the next steps from there? So when you were going to college, did you know this was the route? Did you still keep these jobs going? What were the steps to get you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I caught the bug super early. I did apartment move in and outs. I kind of realized that was a little bit of the side of the business I didn't want to do for the rest of my career. So I actually went to college thinking I wanted to be an architect. And my first semester, I was putting myself through college. I couldn't afford the supplies for a design class. So I marched myself into my counselor's office and said, look, they need money for all these supplies. I don't have it. I'll work this semester. Can we bump this class to next semester? And she looked at me and said, no. You won't be able to graduate on time and, do the accelerated architecture program if you don't take this class now. And I said, well, I can't afford the supplies this semester. And she said, well, then you're not going to graduate on time. And so I walked out of her office and walked over to the business school and enrolled as a business student, dropped all of my art classes, all of my architecture classes, and enrolled in business school. And I thought to myself, you know what, no matter what career I choose, no matter where I end up in life, having basic business skills will be helpful. So I became a finance and real estate dual major through, again, having a really great mentor. Got my first job. It was in property management. About 8-10 months later, I realized that really wasn't for me either. Very much respect that aspect of the business. It can be very tough. It can also be very rewarding, but it can be very tough. Realized that's not who I wanted to be. Worked for a developer for a few months before the 2008-2009 real estate crash happened, and ended up becoming a financial advisor for about a decade and a half. And when I was an FA, I focused on alternative investments. So oil, gas, timber, coal, and commercial real estate. And I sort of became our commercial real estate, I'm going to call it expert. I would fly all over the country, see clients, but more importantly, interview managers like Bamboo Equity Partners. What are they doing? How's the project? Tell me the business plan, show me the financials, tour me through the space, and became very good at understanding the nuts and bolts of owning and managing real estate. And a few years later, my husband came home and said, I'm in finance too, and we're competing. And I said, okay. He goes, so are you going to join me? And I said, no. And he goes, well, one of us is going to have to leave the industry. And I said, well, I will. I don't really like it. So I came over, I met my business partner, and we've grown Bamboo and Intellica. We bought Oakline in Charlotte. We grew a team here, and then we bought McLean last year. And it's been a phenomenal journey. I mean, just absolutely so rewarding, very challenging, but super rewarding. And through that process, I also had 2 kids. So I'm growing my babies at work and my babies at home. And it's been so fun and so challenging. And I love it.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about the start of Bamboo?
Sure. So my business partners started their brokerage and property management firm first. They all came out of larger brokerage firms and sort of thought they might be able to do it better. So for about 2 years, they were doing brokerage and property management. One of their clients became the banks through the real estate crisis. So they were doing a lot of workouts on toxic assets, REOs, defunct assets that people kind of gave back to the bank or that the bank foreclosed on. And they sort of started seeing the financials of the work that they were putting into these projects for the banks and thought, maybe we should do this. So they started Bamboo Equity Partners with friends and family capital. And rather than doing the projects for the banks, they partnered with the banks to buy the assets and do the projects themselves. I came on board about 3-4 years later and really launched the next life of Bamboo, taking the track record of what they have built through working with the banks and started getting institutional capital, high net worth capital, and really building out an investment platform for folks who are interested in real estate exposure.
Awesome. Yeah. And how did you find them? Like, have you worked with them in the past on past jobs of yours, or was it a job ad? Like, how did you link up with them?
So as life goes, it's all about connections and networking. So one of my clients, when I was a financial advisor, was actually one of the partners who started Bamboo. He was looking to make a change in his life. He knew that I had a certain skill set and a way of interacting with folks and thought I should introduce her to the partners that were going to be remaining. And after a couple of meetings, we were both sides were convinced, let's do this. So with a swift kick from my husband who said, do you believe in yourself or not? Go be an entrepreneur. I came on over.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, that paid off. That was some good advice.
Yes. Yes, It was. My husband's always been a serial entrepreneur and I was never an entrepreneur. And we sort of switched roles when I came over to Bamboo. He took more of a corporate job, still with some entrepreneurial flair to it. And I went full bore into being a business owner. And it's the best decision I've ever made.
Totally.
It's scary, but best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, it seems like it's really paid off. It seems like a very smart choice. Yeah.
It's very rewarding is really what it is.
So can you tell me about the Atori Group?
Absolutely. So we were founded by entrepreneurs. We are entrepreneurs, even though we've gotten much bigger and are a much larger organization now. Most of our tenants are smaller businesses. And through working not only on our own business, but partnering with our tenants, we realized smaller businesses still have needs for things like IT, so in-house IT services, a general counsel, a CFO or a controller, a really robust marketing team, but they might not have the resources to bring on a 6-figure salary given the business cycle that they're in. So we came up with a group called Atori Group, which is our shared services folks that were sitting in all of our different service lines, brought them into our Atori Group. Those folks then have the ability not only to service our brands, but we have third-party clients who might not need a full-time director of HR, but need a handbook, and need somebody to call when something comes up or somebody to coordinate offer letters. It's really become a resource to small businesses and medium-sized businesses. And quite frankly, it's been really impactful to the folks at our Atori Group to have a home, to have a brand, to be able to truly showcase their talents and not just be sitting in one of our individual organizations.
Awesome. Yeah, like it is great that you have all these, like you guys can really do it all with all of what you own. I mean, yeah, like what else do you need?
We really try to be the one-stop shop for people who are interested in anything related to real estate, whether you're moving your business, whether you're growing your business, whether you own your own real estate portfolio, and you just need some help with getting financials that your bank wants to see together. We have a lot of ways that we work with folks. So being able to deliver that one-stop, one language, coordinated effort to help whatever you need to accomplish in your real estate life happen, that's why we all work together.
Awesome. Well, that is great. Was there one job that you guys took on that really kind of lifted you up to the next step where you could buy Oakline or, like one job that really kind of changed things for you all? Or was it just the course of all of it?
I mean, the answer is no. There wasn't a specific project that we took on or something like that. I think continuing to grow our track record of delivering results to our investors, showing the banks what we could do, showing the communities that we were investing in, that we were serious. I think sometimes developers kind of get a bad rap because they can come in and take incentives or they start a project and for factors completely out of their control, it doesn't happen the way that it kind of looked on paper. And so I think just being consistent in delivering what we said we were going to do, the returns to the investors, the project timeline to our potential tenants and to the banks, it helped us grow and become, I'm going to call it adults in this industry. So starting our private equity funds and being able to do those, just continuing to be consistent and do what we say we're going to do. A lot of the time, an investor looks at a project and they're not looking at it, in my opinion, sort of the way that I would, which is, does the project have merit? Do the financials make sense? All of that's good and fine. But the reality is you're buying the management team. Projects are not linear, especially in real estate. Things happen. You're buying how we think, how we show up, what our resources are, our commitment to the project. And I think it's so important to get to know the people behind whatever you're investing in.
That's true. Yeah. It seems weird to even talk about COVID right now. We're like so past it and people are like, please don't say that word. But did COVID kind of change things for you all? Just like, there's more folks that want to work from home these days. And has it changed the way that you guys do things?
So we have a very heavy office portfolio. About 50% of all of our holdings are office related. Well, and our basic tenant is anyone who's under, I'm going to call it 25,000 square feet. So if you think about it, that's typically a small business, right? A lot of small businesses don't have redundancy in their accounting department, in their HR department, in their sales department. And a lot of the way that people in general do business is it's with people. It's the collaboration. It's those water cooler type of conversations. So while everybody went home for a little while, most of our office buildings turned back on rather quickly. We also don't own skyscrapers. So people could get out in a surface lot or a two-tiered garage, walk the stairs to their office space and feel really comfortable getting into a more busy environment. So that was really, really important for us to make sure that our tenants felt very, very comfortable through COVID. A lot of our tenants have renewed. Some put off doing it for a little while, but nobody's really changed their footprint too terribly much.
Nice. Well, that's great.
It is great. I mean, our teams really made sure that everybody felt safe, that the buildings were clean. We've always done projects that were focused on kind of the health and wellness of the occupants with outdoor spaces and bright lights and efficient HVAC. So all of that never really changed for us. But it became popular and got in the newspaper that you needed to have clean air. Well, duh.
That's a good thing. That's one good thing that came out of this. And so you talked about your team too. And I know that's that's a big deal for you guys. Can you talk about growing your team and how that kind of went?
Absolutely. Our team is our secret sauce. In the types of spaces that we play in, a lot of people get nervous about sharing maybe underwriting models. How are we looking at a project, or best practices on how we're doing accounting things or something like that. To us, you could have all of that. You can have our models, you can have all of our systems, you can know all of that about us, because our value add and the part that makes us special is our people. We have such a robust internship program. We try to have 10 to 15 interns every single summer. A lot of those people end up coming to work with us, which is really, really neat. They get to interview us as much as we get to interview them. And then those folks, as they kind of grow in their career and find their passions, because we have so many different ways that we interact with real estate, whether it's construction or design or private equity, they have a career path within our family of companies if they want, and don't have to go work somewhere else or do something else.
Does marketing kind of help you all with staffing, and how does it play into your work?
Sure. So I'm sure you've noticed a theme that we really support the individual folks that are here, and they're our secret sauce when it comes to making these tough projects that we bring on really come to life and basically come to fruition altogether. So a lot of our marketing is just showcasing the talent of the folks that we have here. Yes, it's nice to show our projects. Absolutely. People want to know what we do, but it's really the people behind them. So when we do marketing, it's not a billboard or an ad. It's really partnering with folks who can help us tell our stories. Short videos that we put on Instagram or social media. We do a lot of videos that go on our website that talk about a project and the folks behind it, the challenges, all of those sort of things. So it's word of mouth, it's organic, but it's also really showcasing through these types of platforms who we are, what we do. I mentioned that you invest in the people behind projects, or at least that's a factor that's very important that I think people should look at. I think getting to know us through these types of platforms is really the best way to understand if we would be a good fit for an investment or to help you with a project that you're working on. It's the people. Our people are first. We value them so much. Anywhere between giving 40 hours of charitable time during the working year for folks to go, participate in their church or help their neighbor or do something like that that really warms their heart. We are supportive of the individual. And the same thing for education. We give 40 hours during the work year for somebody to go learn something new, whether it's about their job, their passion, something related to our industry, something completely, unrelated. It's just to support the individual. I think that's the best way that we can kind of combat some of the other challenges that come with hiring and culture and growing.
Wow. Well, that's great. And speaking of that, you also are part of a lot of boards and you help out wherever you can. It seems like you're a part of crew. Do you want to talk about some of those things that you do? You're doing just such great work.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of mentorship. Throughout my career, there have been people that have come into my life and picked me up or opened a door for me or given me some advice or some guidance or made a connection. And it has been hugely impactful for me, for my career, for my family. I have 2 young boys. Just having a resource of, other folks who have grown a business or are growing in their career or just trying to balance it all while they have a young family. It's been really impactful for me. So every time that I have the opportunity to open my network, to take a phone call, to review a resume, to do anything to help support somebody who's trying to build their career or understand something better, it just lights me up. I'm a people person. I love managing people. I do a lot of our investor relations. I just love people. And so that mentorship is a huge piece of my career. And I think I can do that through being on boards, doing formal mentorship programs, being in charitable work.
Awesome. Yeah. And kind of on that note, if there's someone who dreams of one day being in your shoes and doing the same thing as you, what sort of advice could you give them? Like, what could they start to be doing now? Like, if they're just getting into the business?
I think finding your passion, sometimes people chase a title or compensation or something like that. I did that for a while in my career too. I was fixated on a number and a title. And while that's great, when I've truly leaned into my passion and what lit me up about what I was doing, one of the questions I was asked in an interview is, what do you want to see on your desk? What do you want to see on your inbox? What kind of program are you wanting to be working in? What type of meetings are you wanting to have during the day? I think that tells you so much more about what you gravitate towards, what your passions are, what your skill set is. I think that's just important to figure out what really lights you up about what you're doing. We all have things in our jobs that maybe aren't fun, kind of the necessary stuff. But if the bulk of your day and the bulk of your time is focused on doing something you're passionate about, the title, the money, the flexibility, whatever it is that is a byproduct of the passion.
That's true. Yeah.
I think the other important thing is just the balance of it all. Like people say, what's the work-life balance? Like, how do you do it all? There is no balance. I have chosen to be 100%, a business owner and a leader. And I have chosen to be 100% a mom and 100% somebody who is focused on helping somebody else through charitable work or through a board position. Am I winning every day? Absolutely not. But I think when you commit to something and you want to do something, just jump in and do it.
That's a great piece of advice there, and a lot of good advice. So when you're not doing this and when you're not going out to meet these folks, like, what are you into? Like, what do you like doing?
So I didn't really realize I had a passion for like gardening and plants until we started really ripping up a lot of what I consider nice hydrangeas and boxwoods and peonies at all of our redevelopments. So I've started, I'm going to call it stealing mature landscaping from our developments in St. Louis and putting them in my yard and really getting to know plants. I really enjoy it. I garden with both my little boys. They have a strawberry patch and we have a salsa garden every year. And it's a lot of fun, but I didn't realize I had such a passion or maybe soft spot for these poor plants we kept throwing away.
Well, nice. Well, that's good that they get a new home now. And
yes, my yard looks great.
Awesome. And then what's next for you all? Do you have any, I know you've got a lot going on, but is there one thing you're really proud of that you want to tell the world about?
Absolutely. Yes. So we're getting ready to launch our third fund. Our first two funds were focused on kind of this hybrid between adaptive reuse and getting some stabilized that maybe needed some leasing or a little bit of, I call it a gussy up, making it pretty and functional again. Our third fund, just given what's going on in the world with interest rates and a lot of folks that have not been able to invest as much capital as they needed to into projects, there are a lot of value add projects across the US that we're going to be looking at putting into that fund. We have the expertise being vertically integrated with all the firms that we own to really make an impact on these projects that have kind of fallen by the wayside or have gotten tired. Particularly in St. Louis, we have a lot of older stock of buildings that have not been cared for. And there's no sense in tearing something down that has such rich history, such great bones. We're really capable of coming in and breathing new life into them, making them functional, making them beautiful, and then using our teams to lease them up and hopefully sell them at a good multiple for our investors.
Yeah. So on that note, are you changing some of these office spaces into more live workspace? That kind of seems to be what's going on right now, right?
We've done a ton of adaptive reuse projects. We bought a community college's headquarters down by our ballpark. They had offices in there and a data center. We converted it to multifamily with retail on the first floor and a rooftop amenity where you can watch the Cardinals play, see the arch, grill. It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Currently, yeah, it's a really cool project. Currently, we are taking an old distillery in Louisville, Kentucky, and converting it to kind of that live, work, play. There's phase 2 will be apartments. Phase 1 is going to be taking the actual distillery, creating a food hall, a high-end bourbon bar, an event space, some co-working, creative office space. It's a really neat project. So yes, we love adaptive reuse, especially on buildings that have some history. Why not do something else with them? Charlotte, actually, that whole city has done a really good job of taking old mills and doing things with them. I just think older cities, you can't just come in and put up glass skyscrapers. The financials might make sense, but it changes the landscape of the community.
It sounds like you breathe new life into a lot of things with your plants, these buildings. That's great that you can do that.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's really fun. It's just very, very cool to see something that maybe looks a little funky, and a year later, it's vibing, it's hopping. People want to be there. Just it has new energy. I just love that.
Yeah, like I can't wait to check out some of that stuff you just said. That sounds amazing. The place with you can see the Cardinals game, you can grill up there. Like, yeah.
I'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, is there anything else we didn't touch on that you would like the world to know?
We're always looking for ways to interact with people who are interested in learning more about real estate. The educating somebody on what we do or how we can help them, whether you're interested in investing in real estate or moving your business or just redesigning a space that you're currently in, like that's our passion. That's the passion of our people that work with us. So if we can help, we would love that opportunity to educate you on what we can do.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all of your time. It was so great to hear about all of the great work that you have going on. And thank you for all of what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, for checking out another episode of Building Stories. To hear more like this, like and subscribe. And if you want to hear more about the great work that StoryTrack does for the building industry, check out storytrack.com.